Little Caesars.
Caesar's Palace. The entire month of July. Russian czars are named after Julius Caesar, as are German Kaisers. But why? Why is it that Julius Caesar is the most famous person in antiquity when there are seemingly just as many accomplished people that could be remembered? Even his own contemporaries were just as successful, and yet everyone at least knows the name of Julius Caesar. Military-wise, Pompey the Great had more success than Caesar. But at least in this case, Caesar beat Pompey in the Civil War, so Caesar absorbed his clout like a Dementor. He was piping down the Queen of Egypt, Cleopatra, which is pretty cute, but so was Mark Antony, and not everyone has heard of him. In terms of power, his adopted son Octavian learned from Caesar's mistakes and literally installed the Roman Empire. He surpassed Caesar and ruled for 56 years before dying of old age. Most people have never heard of him. Caesar's story is cool, filled with scandal and excitement, but was it so different to everyone to warrant being the main person people remember? Today we're going to deep dive into why out of the billions of people born in the last 2,000 years, even though he doesn't particularly stand out, Caesar is the most well known. By the way, I'm not including Jesus here, as his exploits are more mythical and religious. I'm talking about real, verified historical figures. In my ponderings, there are three main things that make Caesar the most well-known historical figure: impact, power, and influence. I'll explain these all in depth, but I'd love to hear if you think there are some other factors at play, or what else you might add. For impact, we don't talk about Genghis Khan, whose empire was bigger than Rome, because in the West, we have less in common with it. We don't relate with the customs of the Mongols, nor with the Chinese dynasties that came after. By impact, I mean the Roman Empire is still affecting our life to this day.
To this day!
You ever wonder why trains are the width that they are? Probably not, but even still, that's due to Rome. The months of July and August are named after Julius Caesar and Augustus. They spoke Latin, which formed into French, Spanish, Portuguese, Italian, and Romanian. Our English alphabet is based on Latin. Many of our customs and politics today are based on Rome. The time of the Roman Empire had the most in common with the world that we live in today. I think that's why it's so popular. We can look back at that time and see that yes, it was very different, but so much was the same. They may not have thotties shaking their booties on Instagram, but they did have lions eating slaves in the arena, which has its similarities. The influence of Rome that is still affecting us today is a major reason for why when thinking of ancient history, we default to that period. With influence understood, the next piece in our puzzle is power. If you ask people the greatest South African, they're going to say Nelson Mandela. The greatest British person, they'll say Queen Elizabeth or Winston Churchill. Best football player, Tom Brady. Basketball player, Michael Jordan. As humans, we only have room in our brain for so many people. We can dive into statistics and see that maybe Larry Bird is better than Michael Jordan, but we aren't capable of doing that for every single topic. Perfect or not, when removing the nuance for something, you have to choose an icon to represent a specific time or movement. Society had to pick someone to represent Rome, and they settled on Julius Caesar. Now, what's the criteria to select an icon? That's where it gets a little messy. It could be because he best represented the zeitgeist of the time. It could be because he was the final person in charge before the empire officially took shape. I think it's usually these flashy stats that people pay attention to. For example, the high scorer in basketball is more likely to be represented than a defenseman due to excitement. Conor McGregor had flashy knockouts and the mainstream appeal, while Khabib, the dude who can beat him 99 out of 100 times, was fighting on the prelims of Conor cards. Khabib only got mainstream popularity after dethroning Conor, and even then, he's still not the icon. In terms of becoming the icon, one important thing I believe is that you need to reach the top position of power. Just like Michael Jordan needed to win a title to be in the conversation, Caesar needed to have that top spot, and he did. He was the dictator of Rome in a very competitive time, and had achieved near unlimited power. Now, with the understanding of the impact Rome has today, and on top of the fact that we need to choose some sort of icon to represent that period, we're starting to pick apart the reasons Caesar's the most famous person. But I think the thing that ties it all together is influence. Because it's not like Caesar is the only person to reach the highest level in Roman society. He wasn't the first, he wasn't the last. The reason that Caesar got chosen has to do with his influence. What I mean by this is as soon as Caesar enters the scene in the history books, it's clear that we are dealing with a special individual. When the dictator Sulla wanted a young Caesar killed, so many people stood up to save him. Sulla relented, but warned them, that boy with the loose clothes has many Mariuses in him. Now there's a lot to unpack with this sentence alone, but one thing I want you to pay attention to is Sulla said he had loose clothes. Caesar didn't dress like everyone else. He kept his toga loose and swaggered about town. It was new and strange when Caesar did it, but for many years after, the Roman youth would copy that style. This is a man who impacted popular culture. He was the modern day equivalent to a rock star or movie god. He was the guy that people emulated. If there were tabloids, he would be the juicy front page news that everyone wanted to talk about. He wasn't just powerful and talented, he was charismatic and influential to society. Whatever that it factor is that people have, Caesar had it in spades. This is one of those intangibles that no one can really measure, but it immensely increases the gravitas of an individual. So much so that this is the main differentiator between Caesar and the hundreds of others who have similar credentials to become the icon. Caesar was a charismatic, all-powerful leader of the ancient empire that has the most in common with our world today, and for this reason, Julius Caesar is the most famous man in history. Now, if you like this type of discussion, we do have a school community that discusses these ideas regularly, where we can philosophize, chat, learn, and even meet in person. To learn more about this group and get a free book, check the description.